welcome back my friends. This is Professor Rohit Shroff and I welcome you on behalf of Jikisha classes. In this video my friends, we are going to discuss November 2022 Inter CA RTP for your paper number 6, that is Auditing and Assurance. So my friends, the RTP has been into 3 parts. The first part, if you open the RTP, if you can download it from the institute website, they have given a lot of amendments. My friends, we have already covered all those amendments in our lectures. There is nothing new. There is nothing that we have not covered. So I am not going to discuss all those points. Second is going to be the MCQs, and the third part is going to be the descriptive question. I am pretty sure my friends, you are definitely going to see the MCQs. So what I am going to do is firstly start with the descriptive. My friends, please, in this video what you need to do is read the question. See, if you were in a position to interpret it, majority things, 95% of the things are as it is, where it is from the institute module itself. We have already covered the same in our notes as well. So you just need to interpret. If you are able to recall the answer that is to be written, if you can recall, my friends, you have prepared very well. In case if you were not able to recall, just make sure you revise the same thing again. For a few questions which were not part of the module or which we may have not covered in the notes, we are going to discuss very much in detail here. So for all those questions, I will request you that you please go through those questions in a detail, memorize those answers, and then move ahead with the next thing. So once again, firstly we are starting with the descriptive questions. Once we are done with that, I will go to the MCQs, integrated base case study MCQs, and the general MCQs. So let us begin with our discussion of the descriptive questions. So question number 2A, that is chapter 1, nature, scope and objectives of audit. So there are practical and legal limitations on the auditor's ability to obtain evidence. Explain giving examples. Also explain the difference between audit and investigation. So when we say there are practical and a legal limitation, in a way what are we trying to say is there is inherent limitation. There is going to be what? Inherent limitation. So somewhere there is inherent limitation. What are the inherent limitation? Do you recollect, my friends? What is inherent limitation? FATO. That is, there may be a fraud. Then our audit procedure as such that we do only test checking and not 100% of the checking due to the time and the cost constraints. Also our accounts are based on estimates, so other matters. So we will write here is FATO. Secondly, what they are asking is explain the difference between audit and investigation. See, in case of audit, all we want to give is a reasonable assurance. But when we talk about investigation, it is an in-depth examination. So let us go through the answer here. So here first you will write the inherent limitations. Now we have to clearly understand that audit is distinct from investigation. So firstly what they are explaining you is investigation. So investigation is critical examination of accounts with a special purpose. For example, fraud. If the fraud is suspected and is specifically called upon to check the accounts whether the fraud really exists, it is a character of investigation. So when you are checking in a depth, when you want a conclusive evidence and not a persuasive evidence, it is called as investigation. Now when we talk about the objective of audit, is nothing but to give a reasonable assurance whether the financial statement as a whole are free from material misstatement due to fraud or error. So both of them are completely different. So therefore audit is never stated with a preconceived notion about the state of affairs, about wrongdoing, about whether something wrong have been committed. The auditor seeks to report what he finds in the normal course of examination. So we do not see the client, and we will not say that there is always going to be some misstatement. There may be or may not be. However, it is quite possible that sometimes an investigation results from prima facie findings of auditor. So when we perform our audit procedures and we think there is something wrong here, then in that case we will perform our investigation procedures. So this is nothing but the difference between auditing and investigation. So this was a question number 2A, which was quite basic. Next, question number 2B. This is the question which we have already covered, my friends. Let me read out the question for you. The auditor cannot be expected to disregard the past experience of the honesty and integrity of the entity's management and those charged with governance. Nevertheless, a belief that the management and those charged with governance are honest and have integrity does not relieve the auditor to maintain professional skepticism. So what question they are asking here is professional skepticism. So we'll have to explain professional skepticism, that auditor will always be alert of questioning mind. All the students in Mumbai studied in Hindi. What do we call professional skepticism? So auditor is an Anna who's always chaukanna. So we just have to be alert and we always have to maintain that questioning attitude. We have also written the examples there in our notebook. If you go to a summary notes, your question number 14, the last question of your chapter number 1 is professional skepticism. You will have to write the same examples here. Let me just take you through this. So here they have explained professional skepticism and they have given all the examples. So these are the same examples as it is, where it is in the same chronology that we have written in the notebook. Not that they have adopted what we have written. We have adopted from their suggested material which they had already asked in the past. So the answer we have already covered. So I am not going to waste your time unnecessarily on things that we have already done, because we just had a revision lecture as well. So all the students who are not JKC students, you can go through the revision lecture on YouTube, which we have just conducted a marathon revision lecture. We have just covered everything there as well. So I would not like to waste your time once again unnecessarily on this. Next, question number 3A. The firm should establish policies and procedure designed to provide reasonable assurance that it has sufficient personnel capabilities with the competence and commitment to ethical principle. Explain, stating clearly the personal issues addressed by such policies and procedure. So in a way, this is part of SA 220. It is part of SQC 1, where we talk about the personal policies. So we need to have policies on the personal. The firm should establish policies and procedures designed to provide it a reasonable assurance that it has sufficient personnel with capabilities, competence and commitment to ethical principles. So if you recollect our basic principles governing an audit, what were the basic principles? ICAI drops. What was the last point? S was skill and competence. So we have a team which has adequate skill and competence and capability to perform the audit procedures and also comply with the ethical principles. Now, what they are saying is such policies and procedures should address which issues. So it should help in recruitment. We should have policies for recruitment. We should have policies for performance evaluation. We should have policies to evaluate whether they are capable, competent, career development, promotion, compensation and estimation of the personal needs. So this was a part of SA 220 or SQC 1. So this was question number 3A. So you can just go through this particular one answer from here. Next, very simple and a frequently asked question which we have already again discussed. An auditor who before the completion of the engagement is requested to change the engagement to one which provides a lower level of assurance should consider the appropriateness of doing so. Explain the circumstances which may contribute towards the request of the client for the auditor to change engagement. So if the management asks us to change the terms of engagement, we will see whether the terms of engagement valid, the change is valid or invalid. If it is invalid, then it leads to lower level of assurance. We will not accept. But if management and those shared with governance do not allow you to continue with the original terms of engagement, this will result in ROSA or LOSA, that is limitation in scope of audit, and in that case the auditor shall withdraw after fulfilling the legal obligation. So again, this particular answer we have covered in under SA 210. So again, once again I am repeating, we have already covered this in the class, also in the revision. All the students who are not JKC students, please go through that particular revision video, a marathon and a quick revision video. It will not take you time. Next, moving ahead with question number 4A. The nature, timing and extent of direction, supervision of engagement team members and review of their work depend on many factors. My friends, DRS depends upon many factors. What are those factors? If you recollect, the factors were nothing but cars. Let me take you to the answer here. What is car? First is C is competence and capability, A is the area of audit, R is the ROMMS and S is the size and complexity of the entity. So our NTE of DRS, that is direction, supervision and review, will depend upon cars. Again an answer which we have already covered. Now question B says, explain what do you mean by documentation of the audit plan. Discuss the purpose served by it and also elaborate the tools used by the auditor to reflect particular engagement. So here they have not given a lot of detailed answer here. So they are saying the documentation of audit plan is nothing but record of plan nature, timing and extent of the risk assessment and further audit procedure. So it will consist of all our RAP, it will consist of all our FAP. It also serves record of proper planning of the audit procedures that can be reviewed and approved prior to the performance. The auditor may use standard audit program or completion checklist tailored as need to reflect the audit engagement. So I'm not given a lot of tools, but all they're saying is you can use checklist and things like that to do this particular job. So this was question 4b. Question 5, I would say please mark this important. So far I have marked 3a important and 5 important. So you need to go through these questions here from this RTP at least. So okay, let me read out the question first. While developing an audit program, the auditor may conclude that relying on certain internal control is effective and efficient way to conduct his audit. Explain stating clearly the points to be kept while developing an audit program. So firstly they are saying for few controls we may have reliance, few controls we may not have reliance. So while developing program, the auditor may conclude relying on internal controls is an effective and efficient way to conduct his audit. However, he may decide not to rely on internal controls when there are more efficient ways of obtaining sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. So if he thinks so they are they are effective, then he will rely, but he thinks so there are better ways, then he may not rely. The auditor should consider the timing of the procedures, the coordination of any assistance expected from the client, and availability of the resources such as assistance and involvement of auditors or experts. For this, what should he keep in mind? He should make sure that he stays within the scope and limitations of the assignment. He will have to develop a written audit program setting forth what are the procedures that we need to implement. Then we need to determine evidence reasonably available and identify the best possible way of deriving that. Apply only those steps and procedures which are useful in accomplishing the verification purpose. What is the verification purpose? That we want to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Include the audit objectives of each area in sufficient detail which serves as a set of instructions to the assistant. So while we are developing a program, the assistant should get a clear indication of what are the things expected from them. Consider all the possibilities of error, that is consider your ROMMS, and coordinate the procedures to be applied to the related item. So these are the things that you need to consider while you are developing an audit program. So just go through this particular answer. Next is question number 6a, chapter 3. Most of the questions here we have very well covered because a lot of questions are already repetitive questions that have been asked in the past RTP or MTP or papers. Question 6a, CAR comes to know some very critical information with regards to the business cycle of an entity for which he has issued audit report, but which existed at the date of which, if known at the date, might have caused the financial statement to be amended or the auditor to modify the opinion in auditor's report. He wants to perform additional audit procedures to satisfy as an auditor what he shall document on the matters after the date of the auditor's report. So in a short, they are asking of what are the documents. My friends, we have already covered this particular question in essay 560, subsequent events, that what are the matters that we need to document. So here we will have to write about the audit documentation. If exceptional circumstances, auditor performs additional procedures or draws new conclusion after the date of auditor's report. So somewhere it is subsequent event, but since they are asking you about documentation, you are going to answer as per essay 230, because essay 230 talks about documentation. So you will have to document what are the circumstances that we have encountered, the new or the additional procedures that we have performed, and when and by whom the resulting changes to documentation were made and reviewed. So what I will suggest is you go to your summary notes where we have written essay 560 and you write this essay in 560 in accordance with 230. So basically it is focusing on subsequent event. What do you mean by events after the date of auditor's report? It's subsequent event. So what are the things that we need to document? So please go and write this answer there so you can revise it while you are doing, on the last day revision. Next is 6b. The auditor shall prepare documentation that is sufficient to enable an experienced auditor to understand significant matters arising during the audit. Explain the above statement. Also give examples of significant matters. So if you recollect a discussion of essay 230, at the initial stage itself we discussed the meaning along with examples, because I told you ICA will ask you examples. They have asked at inter level, they have asked at final level. So we had written almost 7 to 8 examples. You will have to write the same examples here. So we have already done this in the summary notes. You can refer the same from there itself. Question number 7. An auditor is called upon to assess the actualities of the situation, review the statement of accounts, and give an expert opinion about the truthfulness and fairness of such accounts. He cannot do unless he has examined the financial statements objectively. So that means I have been unbiased. So we already know this, that it is a kind of a concept of true and fair, but what are we supposed to write it here? Mark this question also as important. You will have to refer this from here. Auditing is a logical process. The auditor is called to assess the actualities of, review the statement of accounts, and give a opinion. He cannot do so unless he has examined the financial statement objectively. So this is nothing but the question that they have already written. Now, objective examination connotes critical examination and scrutiny of the accounting statements, undertaking the view to assessing how far the statement presents actual state of affairs in context and whether they give true and fair view of the financial results. An opinion founded on a rather reckless and negligent examination of evaluation may expose the auditor to legal action. So if we have not performed our duties, if we were negligent, then in that case a legal action can be taken against us. He needs to obtain evidence information for arriving at his judgment, because until and unless we do not have SI, we cannot give an opinion. As per SA 500, audit evidence explains what constitutes audit evidence in audit of financial statement and deals with the auditor's responsibility to design and perform the audit procedures to obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence to draw a reasonable conclusion on which the auditors base the auditor's opinion. So somewhere a very vague answer they have given here, but we will have to stick to this answer and write as it is where it is, and hence I have marked this important as well. My friends, wherever I am marking a star mark, those are the questions that you must definitely go from this particular RTP. Next, Mania Textiles in manufacture of bed sheets, curtain cloths, other handloom items, etc., having its plant at Panipat. Auditors SJ and company is having doubts over the reliability of information given to him as auditor. The auditors also observed inconsistent information while conducting. Guide how the auditor should proceed. So if they are inconsistent, we will try to resolve the same. If resolving the same is not possible, I may have to modify the opinion. So that is what they have given here. If they are inconsistent, the auditor has doubt over the reliability, the auditor shall determine what modification or addition to the audit procedures are necessary and consider the effect, if any, on the other aspects of audit. That is, I may have to modify my opinion. So again, asking such individual question may be difficult. They may club this question with something else and ask you. So this was our question number 7B. Next, external confirmations, that is SA 505. Procedures frequently are relevant when addressing assertions associated with the account balance, that is debtors, creditors, and their elements, but need not restricted to these items. Apart from confirmation of bank balance and accounts receivable, what are other situations where external confirmation procedures may provide relevant evidence? So if you recollect our summary notes, we have written an answer called as bill spat. Those are the situations where external confirmation can be used. You can write the same answer as it is where it is your. So this was question number 8. With this we are done with audit evidence and documentation, that is chapter number 3. Now define monitoring controls. In respect of monitoring controls, answer the following questions. How monitoring controls would be helpful in assessing the effectiveness of controls? How can management accomplish monitoring of controls? And what is included in monitoring control activities? So all they are asking is about monitoring of controls. So it is a process to assess the effectiveness of the internal controls performance over time. Now, First question is how monitoring of controls help in assessing effectiveness of controls. So it is quite basic. It involves assessing the effectiveness of control on timely basis and taking remedial action. So if at all we think so they are not working effectively, we can take remedial action. Second, how the management can accomplish this. The management can accomplish via through different ways. If you recollect our chapter 4, one is ongoing activity, one is separate evaluation. When we talk about separate evaluation is nothing but an internal audit. So there are two different ways. Next, what is included in monitoring of controls? Monitoring of controls may include using information from communication from external parties such as customer complaints, regulatory comments that may indicate problems or highlight areas in which there is a need for improvement. So this is how we can do it. So you can refer this particular question as well. So far what we have marked is, time and again I am repeating, question number 3 we have marked, question number 5 we have marked, 6a we have marked, 7a we have marked, and 9a we have marked. Next, explain the matters which could be included for the factors relevant to the auditor's judgment about whether a control is relevant. So in chapter 4 we have done an answer called as MS dance. Which controls are relevant? Only those controls which are relevant, are significant. So only those controls are relevant, not all controls. You can refer this from summary notes that we have done. Chapter number 5, that is fraud and responsibilities of auditor in this regard. The fraudulent financial reporting often involves management override of control that otherwise may appear to be operating effectively. Illustrate techniques by which fraud can be committed by management override control. So how can they override? So if you recollect the answer of CFAR, you need to write the same answer that we have already discussed in our notes during chapter number 5. Write examples of circumstances that indicate the possibility of fraud due to problematic or unusual relationship between auditor and management. So if you recollect answer of Duri in our notes, you need to write the answer of Duri here. So again, both the answers of chapter number 5 have been covered in our notes. You can just straight away read it from there. Moving ahead with the chapter number 6. List the points that the auditor should consider to obtain understanding of the company's automated environment. So now what are the points that we need to consider, my friends? We have already discussed this in the summary notes, but we have already discussed during the lectures that we'll see what is the information system being used, what is the purpose, financial, non-financial, what is the location of that, what is the architecture, what are the versions that are used, what are the interfaces, whether it is outsourced, what are the key persons. So all these things we will have to see. So we have already discussed this. You can go through the same. Next, what are the specific risks that companies' internal control having an IT environment? So the specific risk also we have discussed. So you can go through those same specific risks that we have done in the notes. So this was chapter number 6, which were very basic questions, repetitive questions. Now moving ahead to chapter number 7. So what is question number 15 saying here? Explain the meaning of audit sampling as per the relevant standard on auditing. State the requirements relating to audit sampling, sample design, sample size, and selections of items for testing. So we have already discussed this in our question number 9, where we have wrote the meaning of all this. So this has been covered. Nothing to worry about this. Now question number 16 is a quite interesting question. If you understand the concept, you can write it very easily. Now they are saying this method is considered appropriate provided population of the sample consists of reasonably similar units and fall within a similar range, that it is suitable for homogeneous population having similar range. Explain about that method. So firstly, you need to understand what method they are talking about. The method they are talking about is nothing but random sampling, because random sampling, out of random sampling also they are talking about simple random sampling. Now, if you do not understand what is simple random sampling, if you cannot identify, you cannot write, the method, you cannot explain this. So why is this simple random sampling? We can apply this only when the population is homogeneous. When the population is not homogeneous, we might have to divide the whole population into stratas and apply stratified random sampling. And hence here what we are trying to say is this is simple random sampling. Will explain this particular method. So this was an interesting question where you need to first understand which is the method used. Next, chapter number 8. Explain the aspects to be covered by the auditor when designing and performing substantive analytical procedure, either alone or in combination with test of details as substantive analytical procedures. So what are the aspects that we need to consider when we apply analytical procedures? So what is the answer here? This is nothing but RETs that we have considered. What is RETs? Firstly, we need to evaluate the reliability of data. Then from E, we need to develop an expectations of the amount. Then determine the amount of difference that can be accepted without further investigation. And what is S? Suitability of a particular substantive analytical procedure. So can we say this we have already covered in our notes? Yes. Next, discuss the factors that are relevant when determining whether the data is reliable for the purpose of designing analytical procedure. So how can you evaluate whether it is reliable? What we need to say is NSC. What is NSC? Firstly, N is nature and relevance of the information, S is source of information, C1 is comparability, and C2 is controls over the preparation. So again, an answer which we have already covered in our notes, and you need not do it from here. Next, audit of items of financial statement. Now name the assertions for the following procedures. Now all you need to mention is assertion. So mark this question as important because ICAI has been repeatedly asking such questions in RTP. So I'm expecting such questions to arise in your November 22 paper or paper after November 22, that is May 23, but this is going to be an important and crucial discussion. Name the assertions for the following. So firstly, they are talking about the year-end verification. So when we talk about year-end verification, it is nothing but existence. We want to check whether that particular inventory is into existence. Then when we talk about depreciation, we are talking about the valuation assertion, whether the fixed asset has been appropriately valued. When we talk about the title deeds, we are talking about the rights and obligation, whether the particular asset, the right is on the name of the company or not. Liabilities, again we are talking about the completeness. All the liabilities are properly recorded. So we are talking about completeness. When we talk about related parties are properly shown, we are talking about presentation and disclosure. So very easy thing. What they are asking you is assertion. If such a question arises in your paper, it is going to be a jackpot, my friends, because chapter number 9 has a lot of different items of financial statement. Now to remember all those items and write the answer will be very difficult. This will be rather a easier option. So please go through this particular question here. So once again, which are the questions that we have marked important so far? Please go through those questions, all the questions that we have marked important. So this was question number 19. Next, question number 20. PK Private Limited, based in Morbad, is engaged in export of brassware goods. The company has huge export orders receivable on 31st of March. It is also analyzed from the export sales account of the company that large number of small shipments were almost dispatched daily during the month of March 22. List out a few procedures you would adopt as an auditor to verify completeness assertion of the export trade receivables. So what they are saying is you want to check the export trade receivables. What are the audit procedures you will adopt? So let us understand this particular answer. Please mark this as important as well. You will have to go through for this particular answer from here. So what are the things that you will assess? In this context, what we will check is, check in respect of invoices raised in the last few days nearing the cut-off date. Goods have been actually dispatched and not lying with the company. So if the goods have not been dispatched, can we record this as sales? No. Second, check the stock records, e-way bill and transport receipt regarding actual movement of goods. It would provide assurance that the export invoices in respect of which revenue was booked was actually moved out of the company's premises. So we want to just make sure, if it is export, we will see the shipping invoice and everything. If it is a local, if for example it is in India, we will see the e-way bill just to make sure that the goods have actually moved out of the company's premises. Ensure all the goods invoiced prior to the cutoff date have been included in the exports receivable on test check basis. Ensure no goods are dispatched after the year end have been included in export. So goods which are dispatched after the year end will be recorded in the sales in the next year. It cannot be included in this year. For this, we will match the dispatch invoices, dispatch bills. We will also check the shipping details, so we come to know whether the goods were actually dispatched or not. And lastly, text check the invoices in the receivable report. Select invoices from aging report. I hope everyone understands what is aging report. The debtors who are still to pay from 3 months to 6 months, 6 months to 12 months, will prepare the aging report and compare with that. So this was about the export trade receivables. Next comes Companies Act. So Companies Act, most of these questions you have already done. It is just a different way of forming the questions, but we will go through all the questions that they have stated here. XYZ Limited is engaged in the business of shoes having geographical presence across India. Following details are available from the loss audited financial statement for the 2021. Paid up capital is 9.8 crores. Turnover is 98 crores. Outstanding loans from banks is 25 crores. Liability on outstanding debentures is 26 crores. Comment on the applicability of the constitution of audit committee. My friends, if you recollect section 177, your paid up capital has to be 10 crores or more, or your turnover is 100 crores or more, your borrowings is 50 crores or more. Okay, your borrowing is 50 crores or more. So once again, turnover is 100 crores or more, paid up share capital is 10 crores or more, and borrowings is 50 crores or more. So this is OR condition. If either of them are satisfied, it will apply. But however, it applies only to public companies and not to private companies. I mean, make a note, my friends, this is applicable to only a public company and not a private company. So now taking you back to the question, paid up share capital, is it less than 10 crores? Yes. Turnover is 98, so it is less than 100 crores. Borrowings here is 25 and here is 26. Here what they are saying is the total borrowing is 25 plus 26, which is exceeding 50 crores. Hence, audit committee will be applicable because we consider this as an OR condition. Even if either of them is fulfilled, then it will apply. Therefore, provisions related to audit committee will be applicable for XYZ. So I hope you have understood this particular question. So this was question number 21, which was talking about audit committee. Now, question 22. S Private Limited has a paid up share capital of 49 crores and borrowings of 99 crores. The audit firm was PN company was appointed as statutory auditors of the company for one term of 5 consecutive years. Whether the provision of rotation is applicable. So rotation will apply to a listed company, unlisted public company if paid up share capital is more than or equal to 10 crores or their borrowing is more than or equal to 50 crores. Now this company is which company? Private Limited. It will apply to a private company if paid up share capital is 50 crores or more or the borrowings is 50 crores or more. Now let us go through this, what they have written. In case of unlisted public company having paid up share capital of 10 crore or more, private company having a paid up share capital of 50 crore or more, companies having borrowings, public deposits of 50 crores or more. Now in the given case, they have a paid up share capital of 49 crores and borrowings of 99 crores, which is greater than 50 crores, and hence this will be applicable, and hence concept of rotation will be applicable to this private company because this is a OR condition. Your borrowings is greater than 50 crores, it will apply. This was question 22. Enumerate circumstances under which the retiring auditor can be reappointed. My friends, retiring auditor can be reappointed if you recollect, if he is not disqualified, he has not given his written unwillingness, or we have not received the special notice. So we have already discussed this question in our notes, need not do this once again from here. Next, chapter number 11, audit report. Mention the examples of circumstances where the auditor may consider it necessary to include emphasis of matter paragraph. So first we will explain emphasis of matter paragraph. Then later on, if you recollect, our examples of GAL. We'll write the examples of going concern, early adoption of new accounting policies. So we'll write all those points which we have already discussed in our notes. Again, all those students who are not JKC students, we have just uploaded a revision video lecture. You can go through that to that particular chapter. Timestamps have also been given. Just go to exact that timestamp and see it. And in any case, if you think so, you only a revision lecture is not helping you, you can go on online.jkshaclasses.com and buy the chapter. All those students who are JKC students and cannot recollect it, do not worry, you already have a recorded access. Please, you can refer to those particular things. Next, question number 25. While drafting auditor's report of LK Limited, what are the matters to be included by the auditors in the opinion section? In the opinion section. So, what are the matters that we need to include in the opinion section? My friends, we have already discussed the same in under SA 700. We have already discussed the same under SA 700. What are the matters to be included under SA 700 opinion paragraph? What we will write is, first we will write auditor's opinion, then we will write date notes, that is that it has been dated, or it has been audited, title of each item of the financial each title of each statement, then entity. You will have to write all those things which we have already again covered in our notes. So this was our chapter number 11. Moving ahead with our discussion of chapter number 12. So now what does question 26 say? CA Puranjay is appointed as statutory auditor of 2 branches of a nationalized bank for the year 21-22. During the course of audit, he came across the following. While verifying the advances of one semi-urban branch, he noticed substantial number of accounts were categorized as SMA. What is SMA? Special mention account. In this context, explain the nature and significance of SMA, my friends. Do you recollect while during the lectures I told you SMA is going to be an important concept. Sometime soon ICA is going to ask. There are a lot of people who skip this concept. So in case of standard, my friends, you classify the asset as SMA 0, SMA 1 and SMA 2. If the data has not paid up to a period of 1 day to 30th day, then it will be classified as SMA 0. From 31 days to 60 days, SMA 1, and 61 days to 90 days as SMA 2. So we have discussed this in our notes. Next, while verifying the interest income of a mid-corporate branch of a urban center having advances consisting of only cash credit limits of large borrowers, it was noticed that advance of rupees 300 crore were outstanding as on the balance sheet date, carrying the average interest of 8% per annum. One article clerk in the audit team makes a quick back of the envelope calculations of the interest income of rupees 24 crores on advances. However, schedule of profit and loss account shows interest income of advances for rupees 10 crores. Discuss any 2 probable reasons for such variation. So see, if it is 300 crores, if I consider simple interest, 300 into 8% will come to 24 crores. But however, a P&L was showing only 10 crores. So the article assistant was clueless. Why is there such a difference? So what could be the difference? So for example, let us say the first thing could have been, this 300 crores were not given at the start of the year. It was probably given at the end of the year. Now since it has been given at the end of the year, hence the interest component will be less. What could be the second reason? Now let us say we have given a limit of 300 crores. So this was the limit sanctioned. Not necessary they have utilized the whole limit, right? They may have utilized less limit, then hence then in that case the interest is less. So let us go through the both reasons. Now cash credit accounts by their nature are running accounts and their utilization depends upon the needs of the business. Further, the interest on the cash credit is charged on the extent of funds utilized by the borrower. It could be possible that the cash credit limits were not fully utilized during the year, which resulted in lower interest income. Some large accounts may have the sanction during the later part of the year, result in lower interest income on advances for the whole year. Next, question number 27. In carrying out the audit of advances, the auditor is primarily concerned with obtaining evidence about the amounts included in the balance sheet in respect of advances which are outstanding. Explain stating clearly all the consideration in this context. So my friends, in case of audit of advances, we have already covered in our notes. You will have to write the same answer as it is where it is. Moving ahead with the last part, chapter number 30. You have been appointed as an auditor of ABC Hotel, a 3-star hotel, for the financial year 21-22. As an auditor, what are the special points that need to be considered in verifying inventories in the nature of food and beverage? So here what you need to check is, for food and beverage, what are the procedures that you are going to apply. Next, Screen Multiplex Limited is operating cinemas in different locations in Mumbai and is appointed as internal auditor. What are the areas to be verified in relation to receipts from sale of tickets? My friends, chapter number 13, if you see the YouTube revision lecture which was uploaded a day back, my friends, we have covered it beautifully in a very interactive way on how to deal with this chapter. So I would suggest firstly you go through that particular video, you see that, and only if you're not confident you see this answer. I am sure if you see that video, chapter number 13 will be very well taken care of. So let us begin with our MCQs, that is the integrated base case study. So Sam and Company, a chartered accountant firm, is in the process of finalizing the audit of Health and Wealth Limited, which is a company listed on Bombay Stock Exchange. Health and Wealth Limited has made its presence felt in over 10 countries including India, making it a leader in global fitness industry. It runs a chain of fitness centers that offers energetic group workouts and multiple workout formats to choose from. It also offers best equipment, knowledgeable staff, and personal advice in welcoming the environment. Sam and Company, being a very reputed firm, was appointed for the statutory audit of the Health is Wealth Limited. Engagement partner CA and her team of 8 members have conducted the audit of efficient and effective manner. The senior manager in the team, CAK, is of the opinion that they have obtained sufficient and appropriate evidence, which concludes that the misstatement individually or in aggregate are material but not pervasive to the financial statement. One of the article clerks, Mr. N, is a fresher, and this audit in his firm experience as an auditor in a limited company. First experience. He is a sharp boy and has grasped all the concepts and techniques very well. However, the term pervasive confused him, so CAK patiently explained to Mr. N the pervasive effects on the financial statement as per the auditor's judgment. He explained pervasive effects on the financial statement are those in the auditor's judgment are not confined to the specific elements, accounts, or items of financial statement. If so confined, represent or could represent a substantial proportion of the financial statement in relation to the disclosures are fundamental to the user's understanding of the financial statement, are confined to the specific elements, accounts, or items of the financial statement. Mr. N understood the term well and thanked CAK for clearing all his doubts. CA disagreed with CAK that they have been obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, which concludes that misstatement individually or in aggregate are material but not pervasive to the financial statement. So the entire team held various meetings and discussions and finally reached to a conclusion. They concluded that they have obtained reasonable assurance to that the financial statement as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. That conclusions took into account whether sufficient appropriate audit evidence have been obtained, whether uncorrected misstatements were material individually or in aggregate, the evaluation. The audit report was prepared in writing and it was decided that unmodified opinion would be expressed. The first section of the auditor's opinion included in the auditor's opinion and the heading opinion. Following the opinion section was the basis of opinion. When expressing an unmodified opinion on the financial statement, the opinion used the following phrase: in our opinion, the accompanying financial statement give a true and fair view in accordance with the AFRF. During the audit team had observed there was uncertainty in Health is Wealth Limited relating to the future outcome of a regulatory action. So a paragraph was included in the report that referred to the matter which was appropriately disclosed in the financial statement and in the auditor's judgment was of such importance that it was fundamental to the user's understanding of the financial statement. CAA also determined whether the financial statement included comparative information required by the applicable financial reporting framework and whether such information was appropriately classified. One team member, Mr. R, was curious to know whether auditor's opinion referred to in the corresponding figure or not whenever the corresponding figures are presented. CAA explained the circumstances to Mr. R in which whether the corresponding figures are presented, auditor's opinion referred to the corresponding figure. Based on the above information, answer the following questions. Now, my friends, they have given a very exhaustive thing here. A lot of content is given here. So now what I will suggest is, okay, I understand right now in the video you could not have understood the whole passage. Firstly, pause this video and go through the whole content they have given, and only then move ahead with the questions. Okay, so I hope you have paused the videos and only then you are moving ahead with the questions. CAK explained to Mr. N the pervasive effects on the financial statement in the auditor's judgment. Which of the following combination best answers as explained CAK? A. Which was the best options? 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 1, 2 and 3. So my friends, when we talk about pervasiveness, elements are such that not confined to one specific element. If so confined as substantial proportion, consider an example of closing stock, and in relation to disclosure are fundamental to the user's understanding. Point number 4 is not relevant here. All those students who could not relate, go to the notes of SS705. We have written this 3 points as it is where it is. So answer here is going to be D. Next, when expressing unmodified opinion, Sam used the following phrase: in our opinion, the accompanying financial statement give a true and fair view in accordance with the AFRF. Which is the other phrase which is regarded as being equivalent to the above phrase and could be used. So what is the other phrase that we could have used? In our opinion, the accompanying financial statement give true and fair view in accordance with the AFRF, applicable financial reporting framework. Second, in our opinion, accompanying financial statement present correctly in all material respect in accordance with the AFRF. Third, in our opinion, accompanying the financial statement present fairly in all material respect in accordance with AFRF. So my friends, here also they use the word correctly. Here also they use word correctly. We do not say true and correct, we say true and fair. Last option, in our opinion, accompanying financial statement give correct. Again they have used the word correct. So we will always say true and fair, not true and correct. So here the best feasible option that we could have used is C. Next, which of the following statement is not included in the section with the heading basis of opinion para in the auditor's report? My friends, here they had not included the audit was conducted in accordance with accounting standard. So what are the options? Audit was conducted in accordance with the accounting standard. Next, audit is independent of the entity. Description of the auditor's responsibility under the essays. Next, states that the auditor believes that the audit evidence he has obtained is sufficient and appropriate. So if you recollect CA, so somewhere we do not mention A. So answer here is going to be A. Next, a paragraph was included in the auditor's report of Health is Wealth Limited that referred to a matter which was appropriately disclosed in the financial statement in the auditor's judgment was of such importance that it was fundamental to the user's understanding of the financial statement. What is this section of the auditors? So somewhere it was appropriately disclosed, it is just important, hence we are highlighting. So where are we going to give this? We are going to state the same in the, so here we will give emphasis of matter paragraph. When everything is appropriately disclosed, we just need to highlight, we'll use emphasis of matter. Last, CA explained the circumstances to Mr. R in which when the corresponding figures are presented, auditor's opinion refer to the corresponding figure. Which of these circumstances did he mention to R? A. If the auditor obtains audit evidence that material misstatement exists in the prior period financial statement on which a modified opinion was previously issued. If the auditor's report on the prior period as previously issued included a qualified opinion, a disclaimer opinion or an adverse opinion, and the matter which gave rise to the modification is resolved. Prior period financial statement were audited or the prior period financial statement were not audited. My friends, here it is a case where the financial statement for the prior period were not audited. Hence, the answer here is going to be D. Moving ahead with our case study number 2. Bharat Bank, a nationalized bank, has branches all over India and has been the most popular public sector bank in India for the past few years. The bank is governed by the Banking Regulation Act 1949, and the central statutory auditors of the bank, ABC and Associate, were appointed according to the provisions of the relevant enactment. The engagement partner CAC commenced the audit with his team of 7 members so that the audit is completed on time and all the documents are submitted before the due date. The audit at all branches also started simultaneously, and ABC and Associate was in touch with all the branch auditors to ensure timely completion of audit. As per the audit strategy and plan, CAQ along with Mr. R and Mr. P were assigned the audit of the advances of Bharat Bank. Advances constituted the largest items on the asset side of the balance sheet of the bank. Since audit of advances is one of the important areas covered by auditors in bank audit, it was assigned to CAQ since he was aware of the various functional areas of bank branches, its processes, procedures, systems prevailing and internal controls with regards to advances. CAQ started verifying the advances and were classified as per the RBI prudential norms. There were 5 categories of advances which were available to CAQ for verification. They were standard, substandard, doubtful, loss, special mention accounts. An aging analysis was available for doubtful advances and special accounts was examined by CAQ. Ms. R, being instructed by CAQ, verified the securities offered by the borrowers of the bank finance for a particular customer named Aquabras Private Limited. The security was in the form of delivery of goods by Aquabras to Bharat Bank with the intention of creating a charge thereon as security for the advance. The legal ownership of the goods remained with Aquabras. In case another customer named Prism Works, there was a transfer of life insurance policy in favor of the bank security. The bank had absolute right over the policy. Mrs. R examined all relevant documents for the above 2 cases in detail. She continued with her examination of the other securities based on the sample selected by her. While checking the classification of NPA, Mr. P came across customer named Trustworthy, whose term loan was overdue for more than 90 days, but it was 100% secured against the office building. The same was classified as substandard. The another customer named Super 40, who had a cash credit and a term loan with the bank. Super 40 had been paying the installment of the term loan as well as the interest on the cash credit account regularly, and there was no overdue. Mr. P verified the drawing power of Super 40 and it was found that it was less than the sanction limit. The outstanding balance of Super 40 during the year exceeded the drawing power but was less than the sanction limit. Both the advances to Super 40 was classified as standard since the recoveries were regular and the outstanding in the cash credit was less than the sanction limit. On examination of large advances, CAQ noticed that customer named Stylish and Smart Private Limited had one funded loan, term loan and non-funded loan bank guarantee sanctioned from the bank. CAQ checked in detail whether the commission earned by the bank on guarantee was provided for on accrual. CAQ along with R and P verified the advances in detail, also recommended a few changes in the classification provisions based on the examination of samples selected by them. Based on the above information, answer the following question. So once again, my friends, a very detailed case study they have given. So again, I would request you please pause the video, you go through the whole case study and then come back to this question and see if you are able to crack this. Okay, so I hope you have paused the videos and then you are viewing this particular question and answers. So what are the subcategories of a special mention account? So if you recollect special mention account, so SMA 0 when there are stress signal, SMA 1 when it is overdue for 31 days to 60 days, SMA 2 when it is overdue for 61 days to 90 days. So answer here is going to be A itself. Next, creation of securities by Aquabras Private Limited and Prism Work was in the form of. So let me take you back. Here they said security was in the form of delivery of goods by Aquabras to Bharat Bank Limited with the intention of creating a charge. The legal ownership of the goods remains with Aquabras. In case another customer Prism work, there was a transfer of life insurance policy. So in the first one, delivery we have given. So possession is with them, ownership with us. So when that is the case, it is nothing but pledge. Here we have transferred the life insurance policy. So in short, what have we done here? So what is the option that they have given here is assignment. So what we have done is pledge and assignment. So answer here is going to be D. Now next they are asking, in your opinion, is trustworthy a standard asset or a substandard asset? So my friends, here since the amount is not due for more than 90 days, it is a standard asset. See, it does not matter what is the security, but if it is not due for more than 90 days, he will not be a substandard. So answer here is going to be standard. Next, is Super 40 classified as standard or substandard? So see, here whether it is drawing power or sanction limit, both of the limits has to be below that. You cannot exceed the drawing power and say, you have not exceeded the sanction limit. Both of them has to be into the limits itself. So answer here is going to be B. No, since the outstanding balance of the cash credit facility exceeded the drawing power for more than 90 days. So both the advances, that is the term loan and cash credit, will be classified as NPA. Last, which of the following is non-funded? So non-funded we have already discussed. Where there is no transfer of money from my pocket to your pocket, it will be non-funded. So here what is non-funded? Demand loans, bill discounted, letter of credit or participation. Answer here is going to be letter of credit, because in letter of credit there is no transfer of funds from our pocket to your pocket. So now moving ahead with our general MCQs. Now as per SA 210, preconditions of an audit do not include the following. Now what was the precondition, my friends? Determine whether the financial reporting framework is acceptable. Secondly, to obtain an agreement from the management regarding responsibility for preparation of financial statement. Internal control, to provide auditor with access to information, access to additional information, unrestricted access to persons within the entity. Now what they are asking is, what do we do not include here? Acceptability of financial reporting framework, we definitely included. Responsibility for preparation of financial statement, we included. Making available records to the auditor, that is access to information. Integrity of the key management personnel, my friends, we did not include this in the precondition. So answer here is going to be D. Next, an auditor signs a false audit report, knowing which of the fundamental principles of the professional ethics is here violated. He has signed it knowing it to be false. Objectivity means unbiasedness. Integrity means what? Honesty. My friends, here he was not honest, hence the answer is going to be integrity. So here he has violated integrity. So professional's competence, professional behavior does not matter, because here somewhere he has not followed integrity. Now question number 3, you will have to apply a little brain here. They are saying which of the following is most appropriate. So everything is appropriate, but which is most appropriate? First, audit program is detailed plan of the audit strategy. So okay, but not most appropriate. Audit program cannot be reviewed, we can definitely review. So the answer here is not correct. Next, audit program is a detailed plan of applying audit procedure. My friend, this is the most appropriate. Here when we make a program, it is a detailed plan of the procedures. Next, audit program is relevant for the year which it is prepared. It is useless for subsequent years. My friends, it will not be used in the subsequent years, but based on the previous year's program, we can take some decision based on it, and hence the answer here is going to be C. Next, a company is engaged in the business of obtaining X from 1 day old checks. Which of the following is not an example of events and conditions that may cast significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern? Now, mortality of 90% of the livestock, my friends, this is a this is an event because of which the company may not continue. Decision by the government to ban commercial rearing of the birds amid protest by the activists for preventing cruelty to animals. My friends, again, this is an event or condition which may cast a significant doubt. Next, shifting of farm labor to respective villages due to MG Rega scheme. of government causing acute scarcity of throughout the year. So now there is labor difficulty. This is also one of the event or condition that make a significant doubt. Increase in the cost of feed of chicks by 20%. Now it is increase in the cost of feed, that the food that you provide to the chickens has gone up by 20%. This will not cast a doubt on the going concern, my friends. This will not impact. Maybe your cost will increase, so your selling price may increase, but somewhere it will not be a doubt on the going concern. Next, question number 5. Letter of credit and foreign bills purchased and discounted are examples of. My friends, if you recollect, while discussing audit of banks, I discussed this. What are the types, funded and non-funded? I told you this is a very small paragraph given by the institute. A lot of people may overlook, and if institute asks an MCQ based on this, it will be very difficult for students to answer, and somewhere they have asked a question based on this. Now, letter of credit, my friends, here is non-funded because there is no transfer of money from my pocket to your pocket. So what is non-funded? When money does not transfer from bank's pocket to your pocket. Foreign bills purchase, so somewhere this is funded. Why is this funded? Because money is transferred from bank's account to your account. So the answer here is going to be B. Moving ahead with our correct and incorrect. First is the level of sampling risk that the auditor is willing to accept will not affect the sampling size. My friends, definitely it will affect the sampling size. Answer here is going to be incorrect. There is no difference between audit and review. My friends, go and see the basic concepts. All the students who are not JKC students, I'm telling you, this is must to see video. Go to the YouTube revision lecture, go and see the basic concepts that I've discussed in chapter number 1. There is a lot of difference. My friends, in audit, we give high but not absolute assurance. In review, we give moderate but not high assurance. Hence, obviously, there is a difference. Answer here again is incorrect. Question 3. Negative assertions encountered in the financial statement may be expressed or implied. Now, what is this? What exactly are they trying to say? Let me take you back to the answers. Okay, so what they're saying is negative assertions are also encountered in the financial statement, and the same may be expressed or implied. For example, if it is stated that there is no contingent liability, it would be expressed as negative assertion. On the other hand, if the balance sheet there is no item as building, it would be implied as negative assertion that entity did not own any building. So yes, there can be negative assertions. So this answer here was correct. So please go through this particular reason, my friends, as well. Next, development of an audit plan is important before establishment of the overall strategy. My friends, we have discussed it time and again. First we develop the strategy, only then we can develop a plan. Next, an unexplained decrease in the GP ratio may result due to fictitious sales. What they are trying to say is that unexplained decrease in the GP ratio due to fictitious sale. So if the sale is more, then my friends, the GP ratio will increase and not decrease. Hence, again, the answer is incorrect. Next, the auditor has to report matters specified under 143.1. No. Only if we are not satisfied, we'll report, because 143.1 is duty to inquire upon certain matters. If we are not satisfied, only then we will report, or there is no need to report. Next, there is an inverse relationship between detection risk and the combined level of the inherent and the control risk. Yes, because if the inherent risk, I mean the ROMMS is, what do you mean by combined level of inherent and control risk? ROMMS. So if ROMMS is more, we would like to reduce the detection risk. If ROMMS is less, if the detection risk is little high, it is okay because the overall audit risk is low. Next, so here the answer is going to be what? Correct. Next, auditor's opinion, reasonable assurance is absolute assurance. No, my friends, we do not give an absolute assurance. So once again, the answer here given is incorrect. So this was our correct and incorrect. So with this, my friends, we are done with the RTP discussion of November 22. What I will suggest is please go through the whole RTP, try to solve your questions, try to do some more writing practice, and then go ahead for the next topic. So with this, we finally put an end to this particular video. If you have any doubts, my friends, you know the doubt solving mechanism. You have Zoom doubt solving session. You also have the WhatsApp helpline. You can definitely, use those particular helplines and ask us the doubt, and make sure you score a very, very good marks in your paper of auditing. Thank you very much, my friends. We put an end to this video. Thank you very much.